Hey guys, welcome back. It's Dave. It's July 1st, 2024, and I wanted to give you guys a quick update on the factors and the tracking of the factors. And what I'm noticing here is, again, I'm starting to develop a pretty good sample size. Over on the right side, I have every single race, and if it's not shaded, these are the races where I did not hit. And when I say hit, I did not have the winner as one of my A or B selections. Okay? And then the ones that are colored in are the ones that I did hit. Or I did have the winner in the A or B column or row. And over here on the left side, I'm tracking the winners of the races that I had the winner in A or B. Okay, so that way I'm getting two different viewpoints here. This is determining, this here is just telling me how my subjective read of my grids, when I read them, how I'm doing grid-wise subjectively, where as far as the factors go, like what's doing best for me when I am hitting the A or B, and what's not. Okay, and then over here, the bottom column is every race that I charted to this point. And as you can see, starts at row number 2, and I'm down to row number 84. So I've done 82 races so far. Okay, and what I'm noticing, and I'm going to show you guys some of the grids, but what I'm noticing is a high percentage of horses that I'm shading in blue. Again, if you're using the color blue, the same as I am, well then you're going to be able to follow my explanation here. But blue is the top, okay, the top rating for that I use. But horses that are finishing in the top rating in both the early, late, and overall, okay, are really doing well. And I said before, that's pretty much going to be a no-brainer, because the early, late is a combination of the early part of the race and the late part of the race, thrown together as an average, and the overall is simply the average of all three of the early sectors and the rest of the factors as well. Okay, so therefore, obviously, you're going to get your best rating. But my point is, I want to dig deeper and find out when the horses have close or the top, or maybe first and second, or second and first, or whatever ratings over here. They're obviously tops over here for a reason. It's either going to be because of the early part of the race, the later part of the race, or both. Okay, so I'm going to show you examples of what I'm talking about. So you look at this grid here, and let me make it a little bit larger so you can see it better. This is Mountaineer Race 8 tonight, July 1st. And as you can see, the 3-horse here is tops in the early, late, tops in overall, and he's getting that mainly due to the tops in the early A, and tops in the final fraction, and tops in the turn and finish. That there it's gotten to a point where I've become very, very comfortable at putting that horse on top in both vertical plays, such as a trifecta, key in that 3 on top, and then also in my horizontals, which I haven't been playing a whole lot of. I've been dabbling a little bit here and there in a pick 4, small pick 4s, like $9 total, and so forth. But I'm finding out that the potency of this here is really, really showing a little bit of success. Okay, as you can see here, the 1-horse is getting its tops here simply due to the early part of this race and not the late part. Okay, and what's happening is when I see horses like this and they win, it's telling me that even though the final and the turn and the final are subpar compared to the rest of the runners, he's doing well enough in the early part of the race that this is not mattering. Okay, this is not mattering. He's enough. It's enough to put him on top still in the early, late, and the overall as well. Now, something interesting I want to add. The other day, I forget which track it was, I started adding a new ingredient to the overall category, and that's the target rating. Okay, so I'm starting to add matrix system a little bit into this. I'm not going to go any further. Okay, I'm not going to add any ability ratings, or I'm not going to add the target briz. I don't want to turn this into a giant grid that's combining the matrix system together with the pace progression model. I already have grids that do that. But what I did was I added the target rating for two reasons. One, I could glance over here and say, okay, who is my target horse in this race? And that would be the one horse with the 80. And I've also now tied in the target rating in the overall category. So the overall category is not only averaging out these 6 factors, it's also tying in the target rating as well. And I had a good day at Monmouth yesterday. I had a pretty good day, a good night at Mountaineer last night. What I want to do next now is focus solely on winners that have showed up tops in 1 or 2 of these categories. Okay, but here's the thing. If he's first here, he's got to be at least second or third here. Okay? If he's second or third here, he's got to be at least first here. So I'm looking at horses that are showing up in both of these categories, one of them being tops. And I want to start tracking ROI based on a $2 win play. Okay? I don't want to track ROI on every single category. One, I'll probably screw it up. And 2, it's just way too much work. Especially, like I said, I'm 80 plus races in now. And I just want to see which factors, like I said before, are pointing me to either a single in a horizontal or a key in a vertical, which will allow me to use other horses or more horses in the latter parts of those bets. And now the other thing I'm noticing is, just because a horse finishes second in, let's say, for example, your really what we're looking at here, when we look at these 4, when I pick my horses, my 4 horses, I'm really looking at whether or not, if this horse doesn't win, maybe this horse here will win, or maybe this horse here will win, based on where he's showing up on the grid. However, I'm noticing a lot that just because the winner is being pointed out to me, like for example, if this one horse goes on to win the race, it doesn't necessarily mean that the 3 or the 5 or the 6 are finishing second, third, fourth. So this is not an indication of who I think is going to be first, second, third, or fourth. This is an indication on who I think, if they run their best race, has the opportunity to come out ahead in the race. With that being said, I recommend a ticket where you're sprinkling in horses such as the 7, and let's say here in this race, maybe the 3 horse in the third leg of a try, and not just totally blowing the horse off at all. And when you're able to single a horse with confidence, like this 5 horse, and again, I don't know, this 5 horse may run up the track, but if I place a wager in this race, I'm going to put the 5 on top so that I can use more horses underneath. So I might go 2-5 over 2-8 and then start adding in 3-7-8, 3-4-7, 7-8, where I'm adding value to the ticket, because that 3 horse might be the 25-1 that's going to make that ticket pay. And the reason I think that the B plays, or the other A, for example, if you have 2 up here coupled, the reason I think that might be happening is, like, if the jockey on the 3 sees the 1 horse has this race won, or vice versa, they might gear down, and they're not going to win the race. They may gear down and save the horse. Okay, that may be instructions from the trainer. If you're not going to win this race, let's save the horse for next time out. And then all of a sudden, you're getting these horses that are up the track, closing late, such as the 7 horse here is not showing up. or so forth. Finishing off a decent exotic. So, keep that in mind as well. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I got a comment, and I try to address as many comments as I can, whether through email or through the YouTube videos. I had a comment from a subscriber or a follower that said this here is a good way to track the track bias, like which tracks are running well early, which tracks are running well late. For example, if this set of races here was from one particular track, you see where the winners are coming from. Was it early? Was it late? So on, which I agree with 100%. The only issue I have with that would be track bias can change by the week, okay? So if you're going to use that theory, I would use it after the first couple races and say, okay, 3 races in, there's 3 horses that won either on the lead or very close to the lead. So now I'm going to analyze this grid, and I'm going to go with horses that are showing that type of running style for today. But I would not deem that particular track as, quote unquote, this is an early running track. No, it's an early running track today or the last couple days. But when those tracks take those 2 or 3 day layoffs and they come back the following week, that bias could change tremendously. And that's why it's nice to know, based on your subjective analysis and the pace line that you choose, where the horses look like they'll be. And it doesn't mean that this horse here was on the lead last time out. It pretty much means that he ran against good fractions, fast fractions early last time out, and it could benefit from it today. All right, that's all I got for you today. The other thing is I do have, those of you that are using the presentations, hit the slideshow button. Let me go down a little bit. I have Mountaineer, excuse me, for tonight, all 8 races. And you guys can follow and see, based on my picks now, how I'm reading the grid, and maybe compare it to how you would read the grid. Okay, this race 5 is tough. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 horses that I kept, and the horses that I'm scratching are simply, or not scratching, but the horses that I'm tossing are simply because I can't find a valid pace line that's going to allow me to compare it with the other runners, and I just toss them out. I've been beat a few times by horses such as this. Maybe there's a big class dropper that's coming out of mile 16th races that have run very poorly. Maybe they showed a little bit early. They're coming down to 6 furlongs today, but yet at the same time, those last 3 races out of mile 16th, they might have lost by 15 lengths, 25 lengths, and 14 lengths. And I just can't find a pace line to use to justify trying to make that horse fit. And I've been beat a few times with that, but it's going to happen to everyone. No matter what type of handicapping you use, you're going to find horses that you toss. They come out and they run better than you thought they were going to run. And vice versa. You're going to find horses like this 3 horse that shows up very well on the grid that just goes out and throws a clunker. I mean, that's just part of the game. All right, so appreciate you guys, and throw any comments in that you want, questions, and I'll talk to you soon.